Hi, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the PREdiCCt IBD podcast. Real pleasure to introduce today Eric. And in fact, I'm going to be in conversation with Eric today. Eric RVA. Eric is the creative genius behind so much of what we've done with the artwork and the animations, the posters, the graphics, the visuals for PREdiCCt. And so it's a real huge privilege for me to be able to have a conversation with Eric about the journey that he and I have been on now for a good 2 years, that's become not just the most fascinating journey for me creatively, but also turned into a great friendship. So that's coming up just in a sec. First, let me just give a quick flag for the PREdiCCt study sponsors. That is Cure Crohn's and Colitis, 3CS, and the Chief Scientist Office. Thank you guys so much for your continued support for the work that we're doing. So without further ado, here's myself and Eric. Eric, hi.
Hi.
How are you doing?
I am lovely. How are you doing today?
We were just talking about how few Scottish people we have actually running the PREdiCCt study. So maybe you could be Scottish today and I'll be the Englishman.
I don't think I can. I can try, but that would sound very insulting.
Because
so better not.
You're from Rome, right?
I am from Rome,
okay,
yes.
Great. So we're going to talk a little bit more about PREdiCCt today, but I want
Yes.
Lots of people will know who you are, but they maybe not have heard from you because you've done all the amazing animation work that we've been doing for PREdiCCt.
Thank you very much for the amazing. That's very kind. Yes, we've been hard at work with PREdiCCt, making the animation, the visuals, and all the illustrations we used so far, and everything else. Really, it's been a journey since we caught up for the first time, and it was great to see that you were very keen on doing something new. Change a bit the way you communicate the study in general, and what we could do, kind of mixing what is science and the research study you guys were involved with a more marketing/advertising approach, if you want. So to make it more easy to understand, more digestible. And I think at the time, the very first conversation that we had about PREdiCCt, it was to me, it was eye-opening because I learned a lot about IBD and Crohn's disease. I was clearly a little bit ignorant about it, and it was great that you took the time, and you still do take the time to explain to me every time we do a new animation or we have some work together. You always take the time to explain to me what we're doing. Yeah. So I am lucky enough to understand what I'm about to do, even though it's not my field, and it makes my job easier, I think. And the key for the work we've been doing is to make PREdiCCt digestible. That must be a little bit of a pun, I guess.
Just a little bit of a pun.
But, sorry.
We'll let you away with that. Okay.
That's too many years in Scotland. What we did is just to make it easier for people to understand what it is, why is the studies important, and why it's important that people that suffers of IBD and Crohn's disease participate and helps giving their data and just being active with this study. Because at the end of the day, you guys are trying to improve patients' lives.
Yeah, and it's great. And to me, it's been amazing having your input because we're trying to reach a big population of people, but we're trying to make it very clear to people what we're trying to do. We're trying to, clearly set out our goals, but also to get people to, perhaps just come on board with us for the journey, because what we're doing is we're trying to improve, as you say, the lives of people with Crohn's disease and ulcerative colitis, which, I don't know if I told you this, but our latest estimate, we think that more than 1 in 100 people in Scotland live with Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis.
Well, it's an insane number. And to be honest, I'm not surprised, because the more I pay attention and the more I hear about people that suffer this condition, and it always comes down to that. When you don't pay attention, you just don't realize it. But when you start hearing it and you start realizing what it is and what it does, it's tough on people, and it's a lot more common than I thought it would be. It
happens to me all the time because, I say to people what I do, and it's changed, actually. I've been working in IBD for the best part of 20 years now. And more and more and more frequently, I say to people what I do, and I explain what my expertise is in Crohn's disease and ulcerative colitis. And they either say, oh, you'll never guess what. You never know who I knew or whatever. And it's either them or it's a sibling or a family member or a good friend or at least someone they've heard of. And that's more commonly the response now. But still, these are invisible illnesses for many, many people. And we're really trying to put the message out there that, even though people may look well, they may be harboring all sorts of mischief that's going on. And with PREdiCCt, we're trying to help unravel all of these different aspects. And the way that you're bringing this to life with the visuals and allowing us to communicate that to people, looking at, those different aspects, diet and stress and those other qualitative things is so very, very powerful for us. And it's really great that you get so intricately involved with the whole process.
Oh yeah, I mean, that's the very reason why I got very much involved with this and why I think it's important, because I believe in the study now that I understand what you guys are doing and how you're doing it. And it's important that somebody helps with this, and I am really happy that I'm part of this, of the team, which is a lovely team, and I'm part of something that is more important than just selling, which is what I do for a profession, and advertising and marketing. I enjoy that, but
let's talk about that for a minute, because that's really interesting. Because actually, what we're doing here is we're bringing actually concepts and methods that are largely associated with industry, people who are trying to sell their goods, trying to make money for profit. Be it that sort of classic media. But increasingly what we're doing is we're using sort of social media tactics and all the rest of it to advertise.
I think that was our first goal. It was how can we translate what works and sell things and stuff and see how, if we can sell, the study. And we don't need to sell the study, but we need to do it in a way because people needs to realize how important it is and has to realize why they have to get involved.
Or even to have heard about it, right?
Yes, just having heard about it. And it's there are so many studies out there that are important, and we could reap some benefits from it, but we don't know about it. And that's what annoys me a little bit. And it's and that's when I realized the power that we had here, that we could promote such an important study and do it just using simple techniques of how do we sell a message to the people, and how do we sell a message to people with IBD and Crohn's diseases and ulcerative colitis. And that journey has been, for me, very formative. I learned a lot about the study and a lot about how we can do it in the scientific field. And I think that there is so much more untapped potential in this. There is so much more we can do to promote this study to the people out there that don't know it, and also to the people that do know the study, and trying to kind of give them a nudge and say, hey, do something about this. If you know somebody that has ulcerative colitis, Crohn disease, and deal with IBD on a daily basis, please tell them to get involved. That's important.
And this to me is really just the start of the journey, because at the moment we're in this big phase where we're trying to advertise it to people so that they're aware, so they can get involved, and it's that big recruitment phase for us. In the PREdiCCt team at the moment, it's all about recruitment, so that we got the people in. Did we tell you that we reached 1,000 patients just the other day to PREdiCCt?
That it's amazing, isn't that? Okay, let's brag a little bit here. Isn't that the number you were looking for when we started all this?
Pretty much, it is. And we just got more ambitious as we went along.
Of course, yes. But I am delighted to hear that, and I just can't wait to see where this journey is going to take us. What's next? What is going to be our next step?
So I'll tell you. So actually, and this is where we will need your help to go forwards with, because the next thing, once we've completed recruitment, will be the data analysis. And there'll be 2 phases to that. And we'll talk about this a bit more elsewhere. But just to say for now that the first thing we will do is we'll have a look at the really rich baseline data set that we've generated from all the participants who've contributed, all the dietary information, all the quality of life, all the information about their disease. And then we will do the follow-up information as people come to flare. But what's really important to me at each step of this is that we take the information that we find, and then we find ways to communicate that to people. Now, there's the conventional way that we will do that, which is just as important, which is going to scientific conferences, medical meetings, publishing the data in well-respected peer-reviewed medical journals. But more than that, what I want to be able to do is to take the learnings from PREdiCCt at each stage and take them back to the people. And it'd be really great to have your continued input to do that as part of the journey.
Oh, that's amazing. So what you're saying, basically, we need to find a way to sell the data in a way that is informative and fun.
Yes.
Right? That is one challenge we can get through, and I'm sure we can find a way out, and we can make it interesting.
Well, ultimately, what we hope is that we will find bits of information through PREdiCCt that will enable people who have Crohn's disease and ulcerative colitis to make relatively simple changes to their lifestyle, perhaps changes to their diet, There will hopefully be many, many other aspects to that, but things that they can do to empower them to improve what happens to their disease over time now and over time to improve things.
So it's about empowering people, giving them the right information so they understand their disease and they can do something about it. It's not just relying on the scientific research or relying on the help of your doctor or your practitioner. It's also about understanding what you can do to help yourself.
And we've got some really, as you know, and we'll come back to this later, but we've got some really cool tech solutions to this as well to help with that.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert indeed. Now, we must finish, but before we do, we have to just talk briefly about the monkey, right? Because everyone asks about the monkey.
Well, do you know what? The monkey...
Should I tell them where it came from?
I think the monkey come from the first PREdiCCt video,
and we'll link that below, right?
We'll be
That's what people do here, right?
Yeah,
link it below. Yeah.
And the monkey is just one of the many assets for the video, and people kind of started loving the monkey, and I think it's time for the monkey version 2.0.
Okay. But let me tell you the monkey story. Okay, just very briefly.
Let's hear the story.
Okay. So the story is, and one of the concepts around PREdiCCt came about, which is, why do people get inflammatory bowel disease in this day and age? Why do eating a modern food diet cause this to happen? What's it about the environment? You remember that story that we generated. And the thinking is that chimpanzees are our closest living relatives. We share, 98 to 99% of our DNA with chimpanzees. Yet they're a world away from the way they live with us, and their diet is so very different. And so, the monkey came from that original conversation, which was about if we look at the dietary shifts, if we look at the difference in the microbiome, where things are genetically relatively simple, and then if we put in the added complexities of the genetics, and we look at what's happened to the diet and lifestyle over time. So it's kind of a way of, taking a step leftwards, but also gives us a neat little mascot to take forwards, right?
Yeah, I think so. Like, what we're saying here is that the monkey, basically, they have a similar gut in a way.
So they have very similar genetics to us. So if they eat such a different lifestyle, so monkeys in the wild don't get inflammatory bowel disease. So it's something that we're doing, and that's why we're looking at this, and that's why we're.
So, like, are you saying the lab monkeys do get IBD?
There is a cotton top tamarin that was, when held in captivity, develops a colitis, which is very interesting.
Very interesting.
Yeah. So. Monkey 2.0.
So, Monkey 2.0, yeah. We're not going to say anything yet, but we
watch this space.
I think watch this space because it's a silly little thing, but like people like it, and I think we need to make it more our own.
Yeah.
Because I think it's important. So like we'll redesign the monkey a little bit. We'll make it more fun. No, we'll definitely have fun with it.
Thanks, Eric. Look forward to it.
Well, thank you very much, everybody, and please, if you know anybody that has IBD, Crohn disease, ulcerative colitis, please tell them to get in touch with PREdiCCt study and to get involved because it's important.
And just briefly, how can people find you? You're on social media.
Oh, yes, of course. I need to plug myself.
Yeah,
yes.
At Eric RVA.
So my Twitter handle and my website is Eric RVA, which is ERIKRVA.com. And Eric RVA on Twitter, Instagram, whatever else you want to find me. If there's anything I can do for you to help you, just get in touch, give me a shout, and we can just take it from there.
Thanks, Eric. Pleasure.
Thank you very much, Charlie.
Speak soon.
Speak soon.
Bye.